Elias Kale stood on the bridge of the starship Aurora's Edge, staring at the endless black of space. Stars glimmered like scattered diamonds, but the beauty did nothing to calm the unease in his chest. For years he had flown among the stars, fought battles and explored worlds no human had set foot on. Yet today the weight of something greater pressed down on him, a prophecy he had tried to ignore. Humanity called him the heir, the chosen one to lead the stellar conclave. It was supposed to be an honor, a destiny written in the stars, but Elias wanted none of it. He had seen what power and responsibility could do to people. He had watched previous heirs fall, crushed by the burden they could not bear. He had vowed he would never let that happen to him. "Elias, you can't keep running from this," a voice said from behind him. It was Seline Varys, her tone firm but edged with concern. She was brilliant, resourceful, and one of the few people who understood him. As chief strategist and scientist aboard Aurora's Edge, she had saved him and his crew more times than he could count. And now she was trying to save him from himself. "I'm not running, Seline," Elias replied, his voice calm, though his heart thudded. "I'm living my life the way I choose." "The prophecy? It's not my problem." Seline stepped closer, her eyes sharp. "It becomes your problem when entire colonies face annihilation. You are not just a man, Elias, you are humanity's hope, and if you refuse to claim your destiny, millions could die." Elias turned to look at her, frustration rising. "I don't want to be anyone's hope. I'm a captain, a protector. That is enough. I don't need crowns or titles. I don't need to lead a council." Celine's face softened. "I know what you fear. You think accepting this will take away your freedom. But refusing it will cost more than you can imagine." He shook his head. "I've seen what happens to those who try to live up to legends. They fail, Seline. They die, or worse, they lose themselves. I won't do that. Not me." Silence filled the bridge. The hum of the engines was the only sound, steady and unyielding. Outside, the stars drifted silently, indifferent to the choices of one man. Celine's hands trembled slightly. She had prepared for this moment, but she hadn't expected how stubborn he would be. "Then maybe you'll listen only if you are forced," she said quietly, her voice steady now. Before he could respond, she reached for the controls and locked the bridge doors. Elias froze, shock flashing across his face. "Seline, what are you doing?" "Unlock the doors." "I'm making you listen," she said, her eyes unwavering. "I cannot let you turn away from this, not now. Not when the colonies are in danger." He ran to the doors, pressing every panel, but they held fast. His mind raced. He could override them, yes, but something in her determination made him pause. She wasn't trying to punish him. She was trying to protect more than just lives. She was trying to protect him from himself. "Seline," he said, voice low, "you can't force me to do this." "I'm not forcing you, Elias. I'm giving you a choice, but a choice only you can make after hearing the truth." For hours she laid out her findings. The alien species known as the Xylar had been dormant for centuries, but recent disturbances in their sector suggested they were mobilizing. Their ships were faster than anything human technology could match, their weapons capable of destroying entire colonies in minutes. Celine's research showed patterns, hints of intelligence and strategy, and terrifyingly a knowledge of human weaknesses. Elias listened, anger and fear warring in his chest. Every word Seline spoke painted a picture of an impending disaster. His hands clenched into fists. "Why me?" he whispered. "Why am I supposed to stop them? I'm a captain, not a savior. I've fought battles, yes, but this is bigger than me." "Because the prophecy chose you," Seline said. "Because only you have the courage to face what others cannot. You do not have to be perfect. You only have to act. Humanity needs someone who can think, feel, and care. Someone like you." He looked away, out at the stars again, searching for answers in their distant light. Memories of past losses haunted him, the deaths of comrades, the destruction he couldn't prevent. And now Seline was asking him to bear more than anyone should. To lead, to guide, to be the hope that millions might cling to in the darkness. "I can't," he said, shaking his head. "I've failed before. I can't risk failing again." Seline took a step closer. "It's not about perfection. It's about doing what is right, even when you are scared. Even when you want to hide. Elias, I know you feel unready. But the truth is, the galaxy doesn't wait for the ready. It waits for those brave enough to step forward." The bridge was silent again except for the soft hum of the engines. Elias felt the weight of her words pressing on him. He could see it, her courage, her conviction. She believed in him even when he didn't believe in himself, and for a moment he wondered if maybe, just maybe, she was right. Suddenly the alarms blared. Red lights bathed the bridge in urgency. Elias' heart leapt. On the main screen, a massive Xylar vessel appeared on the radar, its weapons powering up, its trajectory locked on the nearest human colony. Seline's voice was calm, but urgent. "Elias, this is it. They are attacking. You must decide." Elias's eyes darted from the screen to Seline, to his crew, and then back at the approaching threat. His mind screamed at him to run, to hide, to deny it all. But the faces of the colony, innocent and unaware of what was coming, forced him to breathe, to focus, to think. He stepped to the controls, his fingers hovering over the navigation panel. Fear coursed through him, but so did a flicker of determination. He could not let them die, not when he had the power to act. Seline watched him closely, her hand resting lightly on his shoulder. "It's not too late, Elias. Lead them. Protect them. Show them what humanity can do." Elias swallowed hard. His mind raced. The Xylar ship was closing fast. Time was short. If he refused, countless lives would be lost. If he acted, he might survive. But only if he trusted himself and Seline and the belief that maybe he was meant for more than he had ever imagined. With a deep breath, Elias made his choice. He turned to Seline, voice steady but filled with intensity. "All right. Show me what I have to do. I won't fail them." Seline smiled, relief washing over her. "Then let's save humanity. Together." The ship surged forward, engines blazing as Elias took control. Every decision, every maneuver, every risk he took would matter. The Xylar were clever, but humanity had something they could not predict. The courage of one man willing to step into the unknown, the skill of a crew united behind him, and the determination to protect every life in their reach. As the stars streaked past, Elias felt something new awaken inside him. He was still afraid, yes, but fear no longer paralyzed him. Instead, it sharpened him, focused him, and gave him clarity. He might have refused his destiny before, but now he embraced the challenge. Above the roar of the engines and the alarm sirens, Seline's voice came, calm and steady. "This is only the beginning, Elias, only the beginning." Outside the bridge, the Xylar ship loomed closer, a shadow against the light of distant suns. The battle for humanity's survival was about to begin, and Elias Kell was ready to claim a destiny he had once tried to deny. Cliffhanger. The alien vessel fired the first salvo. Elias braced for impact, knowing the lives of the colony and perhaps all of humanity hung in the balance. The Aurora's edge shuddered as the first salvo from the Xylar ship hit its shields. Red warning lights flashed, and the hum of the engines turned into a low roar. Elias Kyle gritted his teeth, gripping the control panel as the ship rocked violently. "Shields holding at 70%, reported Lieutenant Doran, the helmsman, his voice tense. "But their weapons are faster than anything we've encountered before." Elias's jaw tightened. He had faced danger before. Pirates, rogue AI fleets, and hostile alien scouts, but nothing like this. The Xylar moved with precision, their attacks calculated and unrelenting. Every second counted, every decision could save or doom thousands. "Divert all power to shields and thrusters," Elias ordered, his voice calm despite the chaos. "Prepare countermeasures. Keep us moving." Seline Varys leaned over the tactical console, scanning alien patterns. "Their firing rhythm is predictable, but it's subtle. If we can anticipate the next salvo, we can reduce damage and strike back." Elias glanced at her, admiration flickering across his tense face. Even in this moment, Seline remained calm, clear-headed, a guiding force. He realized then that leadership was not about being fearless. It was about knowing when to trust your people, and he trusted Seline completely. "Understood," Elias said. "Let's move." The Aurora's edge twisted and darted through space, dodging the Xylar blasts with precision maneuvers that made even seasoned crew members hold their breath. Each successful evasion was a victory, but Elias knew it would not be enough. The alien ship was too powerful, too fast. Humanity's survival depended on more than just piloting skill. Seline's eyes widened as she studied the enemy's formation. "They are adapting," she said. "They're learning from our movements. If we keep running, we'll corner ourselves." Elias nodded, swallowing hard. "Then we fight smarter, not just faster." "What's your plan?" Seline pointed to a cluster of nearby asteroid debris. We can use that field to mask our movement. It's risky, but if we can draw them in, we can create an opening to strike their weak points. Elias considered it, his mind racing. The Xylar were not just intelligent, they were calculating, and any mistake could be fatal. But the alternative, waiting and running, was worse. Do it, he said, his voice firm. We take the risk. The ship plunged into the asteroid field. Massive rocks floated silently in the darkness, their surfaces battered and scarred by cosmic storms. The Xylar pursued, their weapons blasting the field, sending fragments spinning dangerously close to the Aurora's edge. Evasive maneuvers, Elias commanded, his hands flying over the controls. Trust your instincts, crew. We've done this before and we can do it again. For a tense hour, the crew danced through the field. Rocks grazed the hull, warning alarms screamed, but Seline's calculations kept them alive. Every successful maneuver brought a sense of exhilaration, but Elias knew the danger was far from over. Finally, they reached a vantage point. Seline pointed to a glowing panel on the Xylar ship. Here, see this energy node? It's their power core stabilizer. If we hit it, we can cripple their shields temporarily, but it's heavily defended, Elias's mind raced. Targeting that node meant flying directly into their fire, but it was the only chance to turn the tide. Then we go in, he said. Prepare the torpedoes. I want a full strike once we're in range. The ship surged forward, weaving between enemy fire. Blasts tore past the hull, shaking the bridge violently. Elias's hands were steady, his focus absolute. Fear still lingered, but it sharpened him rather than freezing him. He realized something important. Leadership was not the absence of fear, it was action in spite of it. As they approached the node, Seline's voice cut through the tension. You can do this, Elias. Trust yourself. Trust your crew. This is why you were chosen. Her words hit him like a spark. All the doubts, all the fears of failing, all the memories of past losses, they mattered less now. He had a chance to save lives, to protect humanity, and to prove to himself that he could rise to the challenge. Elias gave the final commands, launching the torpedoes. They streaked through space, weaving between incoming fire. The node exploded in a brilliant flash, and the Xylar shields flickered, then went down completely for a brief moment. Now, Elias shouted. All weapons, fire! Cannons roared. Energy beams lanced toward the enemy ship, striking weak points Seline had calculated with precision. The Xylar faltered, their formation breaking. For the first time, humanity had the upper hand. The battle raged for hours. The Xylar were relentless, but Elias and his crew worked as one. Each command was met with obedience, each strategy executed flawlessly. Humanity's survival depended not just on technology or skill, but on courage, unity, and the willingness to act. During a brief lull, Elias stepped away from the controls. Sweat glistened on his brow and exhaustion tugged at his muscles, but his mind was clearer than it had been in years. He looked at Seline, who was scanning the battlefield, her expression focused yet calm. You did this, he said quietly. You guided me. Without you, I might have frozen. Seline shook her head. No, Elias, you did this. I only helped you see what was already inside you. Courage, strategy, compassion. That's why you were chosen. For a moment, Elias allowed himself to believe it. He was not perfect. He was not invincible. But he had done what needed to be done. He had embraced his role not because he wanted to, but because humanity needed him. The Xylar launched another wave of attacks, forcing him back to the controls. Brace yourselves, Elias shouted. Full evasive. Fire on my command. The crew responded without hesitation, moving as one. Elias felt a strange clarity. The fear, the tension, the uncertainty, all of it fused into focus. He was still afraid, but he could act despite it. And for the first time, he felt the true weight of leadership, not as a burden, but as a responsibility he was ready to bear. Hours later, the battle reached its climax. The Xylar, realizing their advantage had slipped, attempted to retreat. Elias did not give them the chance. With precise maneuvers, he cut off their escape and forced them into a narrow corridor between two asteroid clusters. Now, Seline, he shouted. Target their engines! Seline calculated the trajectory in seconds. Weapons fired, striking the Xylar engines, immobilizing the ship. The alien vessel shuddered and went silent. The immediate threat was over. Humanity had survived, at least for now. The bridge was silent except for the steady hum of the Aurora's edge. The crew looked exhausted but triumphant. Elias exhaled slowly, feeling a mix of relief, pride, and a strange new sense of purpose. He had faced the choice, made the decision, and acted. And in doing so, he had saved lives, perhaps thousands. Seline stepped beside him, her hand lightly touching his arm. "You see, Elias, you were ready all along. You just needed to step forward." He nodded, feeling the truth in her words. For years, he had refused his destiny, afraid of failure. But now he understood that destiny was not a chain, it was a chance. A chance to act, to protect, to lead, and he would not turn away again. As they monitored the Xylar ship, a cryptic message flashed on the main screen. This was only the first test. The next eclipse will determine the true heir. Elias felt a chill run down his spine. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. The galaxy held greater challenges, more cunning enemies, and tests that would demand every ounce of skill, courage, and humanity he possessed. Seline's voice was calm, steady, but with a hint of warning. The prophecy isn't over, Elias, it's only beginning. And the next test will be even harder. Elias clenched his fists, staring at the stars ahead. He no longer felt the paralyzing fear that had haunted him. Now he felt determination, clarity, and a newfound purpose. Humanity needed a leader. Not perfect, not invincible, but brave enough to act when it mattered most. He turned to Seline, his voice firm. Then we prepare. We face whatever comes next. Together. Outside, the stars stretched infinitely, vast and indifferent. But for Elias Kale, the stars no longer felt empty. They were a challenge, a calling, a destiny he would no longer refuse. Cliffhanger. From the depths of space, sensors picked up a massive Xylar fleet, larger and more advanced than anything humanity had seen. The true test of Elias Kale's courage and leadership was about to begin. Elias Kale stood on the bridge of the Aurora's edge, the hum of the engines now a steady pulse under his hands. Outside, the vast emptiness of space was suddenly filled with a dark shadow. A massive Xylar fleet, stretching across the stars like a wall of steel and fire. Each vessel was bigger and faster than any humanity had faced before. The fleet's approach was silent, methodical, and terrifying. "Captain," Lieutenant Doran said, his voice tight, "we are outnumbered nearly 10-1. Their weapons are more advanced. We don't have time for hesitation." Elias took a deep breath, his eyes scanning the enemy positions. He felt a weight heavier than any starship on his shoulders. But the fear that had once paralyzed him was gone. In its place burned determination. Humanity had survived once. They could survive again, but only if he led. "Prepare all ships in the sector," Elias ordered. "Send a broadcast to rally every nearby colony vessel. This is our fight. We stand together or we fall apart. Humanity will not be broken." Seline Varys leaned over the tactical console, her fingers dancing across the panels as she relayed commands and calculated trajectories. "They've predicted standard human maneuvers. If we act unpredictably, we might have a chance to divide their formation." Elias nodded. "Then we act. No hesitation. Trust your instincts. Trust your crew. Trust me." The fleet surged forward, engines glowing, weapons charging. The first salvo struck human defenses, sending debris and fire across space. Alarms blared on every bridge, but Elias's focus never wavered. He could see the weakness Seline had found, the patterns in their movements, the reliance on heavy formations. It was subtle, but it was there. "Bring us in closer," Elias commanded, voice steady. "Engage the flanking maneuver. Split their fleet." The Aurora's edge dove through the void, twisting and turning between enemy fire. Ships from nearby colonies answered the call, joining the battle in coordinated strikes that forced the Xylar fleet to adjust. The chaos of combat became a symphony of strategy and courage, each human ship moving in perfect synchronization under Elias's command. In the midst of battle, Elias took a moment to glance at his crew. Their faces were tense but resolute. Every hand on a control panel, every eye scanning the sensors, every calculated maneuver, they trusted him. And for the first time, he truly trusted himself. Seline leaned closer. "You've changed, Elias. This isn't just skill. This is leadership. Humanity believes in you because you act when it matters most." Elias allowed a small nod, though his mind remained sharp and focused. "It's not about me. It's about all of us. We survive together, or we die alone." The Xylar fleet regrouped, launching a massive coordinated attack aimed at breaking the human line. Explosions lit the void as ships were damaged and destroyed. Elias barked commands, adjusting tactics in real time. Divert power to shields. Prepare countermeasures. Fire on my mark! The battle raged for hours, a deadly dance between human ingenuity and alien precision. Elias realized the true strength of humanity was not technology, but adaptability, courage, and unity. Every decision he made had consequences, and each choice was guided not by fear but by hope. Amid the chaos, a massive Xylar dreadnought appeared, larger than any other vessel in the fleet. Its energy weapons fired in rapid succession, cutting through human defenses. "We won't survive if that ship reaches the core," one of the lieutenants shouted. Elias's eyes narrowed. He studied the dreadnought, calculating its movements and weaknesses. "We don't just survive," he said, voice low but firm. "We strike." Seline quickly identified a vulnerable energy conduit on the dreadnought's hull. "If we can hit this point, we can disable its main weapons temporarily. But it will require a full frontal approach. Dangerous, but it's the only way." Elias clenched his jaw. Danger was nothing new. Failure was not an option. "Set the course. Prepare torpedoes. Everyone ready? This is our chance to turn the tide." The Aurora's Edge charged forward, weaving through enemy fire with precision. The dreadnought's weapons fired, striking nearby asteroids and sending debris hurtling toward the ship. Elias' hands flew over the controls, dodging, weaving, and guiding the torpedoes toward their target. The torpedoes struck the energy conduit, and for a brief moment, the dreadnought shuddered, its weapons offline. Human ships took the opportunity, firing relentlessly and pushing back the Xylar fleet. The tide of battle shifted. Humanity was no longer on the defensive. Elias's mind was sharp, calculating every move. He realized the Xylar were intelligent, yes, but they had underestimated humans. They had not anticipated leadership driven by courage, strategy, and the will to survive. He could see the cracks forming in their formation, the hesitation in their attacks. Victory was within reach hours past. Ships moved in perfect coordination, each strike precise, each maneuver calculated. Human ingenuity and determination overcame alien technology. The dreadnought was disabled, and the rest of the Xylar fleet began to retreat. Elias exhaled, feeling the exhaustion in his body, but a sense of triumph filled his chest. Humanity had survived. Against impossible odds, they had stood together and prevailed. Seline stepped beside him, her eyes bright with relief and pride. "You did it, Elias. You led them. You saved them." Elias shook his head slightly. "We did it. I couldn't have done this alone. This is humanity's victory, not mine." Seline smiled, placing a hand on his arm. "It is your leadership that made it possible. You embraced your destiny not for glory, but because it was right. That is what makes a true hero." Elias looked out at the stars, the fleet retreating into the void. He understood something he hadn't before. Leadership was not about power, crowns, or prophecy. It was about courage, sacrifice, and the ability to act when it mattered most. And in that moment, he truly embraced the destiny he had once refused. But even as relief washed over him, a new challenge loomed. The Xylar would return. They had seen humanity's strength, and they would prepare. Elias knew that the battles ahead would test him further, not just as a captain, but as the symbol of hope for all human colonies. He turned to Seline. "We prepare. We train, we plan, and we stand ready. Whatever comes next, humanity will face it together. I won't refuse my destiny again." Seline nodded. "And I'll be with you every step of the way. Humanity has a leader who is not perfect but brave. That's what makes all the difference." Elias's gaze drifted to the horizon of stars, infinite and unyielding. He felt a sense of peace tempered with readiness. The galaxy was vast, filled with unknown dangers, but for the first time he did not feel small or helpless. He felt capable, determined, and united with the people he was sworn to protect. The Aurora's Edge sailed into the void, carrying a fleet of human ships. Together they would face whatever the galaxy had to offer. And Elias Kale, once a reluctant heir, now a leader of courage and vision, would guide them. The stars stretched infinitely before him, vast and unchanging. Yet humanity, under his leadership, had proven it could stand against the darkness. They were not just survivors. They were resilient, brave, and ready to claim their place among the stars. Elias glanced at Seline one last time, her eyes filled with unwavering trust. "This is only the beginning," he said. "We will face whatever comes next and we will endure. Humanity will endure." The stars gleamed, silent witnesses to the courage of one man and the unity of countless others. The battle was over, but the story of humanity, of hope, and of leadership had only just begun. Ending hook. In the distance, an unknown signal pulsed, faint but deliberate. It was a message from beyond the known galaxy, a challenge waiting for the next chapter of humanity's journey, and Elias Kyle would be ready.